From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Late Show with Obiora Hilo and Mamode Akuga.
Hello, a Merry Christmas to you, and that you're also preparing to have a wonderful New Year. This is a special edition of the O&M Show, and as you know, we are winding down the O&M Show. The Sunday edition, which will be the last for the year, will be the very last edition of the O&M Show. Today on our program, we have a special guest. If you have followed the news, especially the news coming from the southeast, Anambra State to be precise, you know that so much has been happening with the Anambra Central Senatorial seat. Of course, we've had so much controversy. Uche Ekwunife had won the election, or INEC had declared Uche Ekwunife winner of that election. She went to the Senate. After a while, that election was nullified. And for almost 2 years or more, we've not had anyone representing the Anambra Central District. After a long while, INEC fixed a date for that election. But as the candidates were getting ready for the election, a federal high court in Abuja declared Obiora Okonkwo winner of the election ab initio. Well, Chief Victor Umeh of APGA says that that judgment cannot hold. My guest today on the show is Chief Victor Umeh, former national chairman of APGA and APGA candidate for the Anambra Central Senatorial District. Chief Umeh, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the program, viewers. I hope you've been enjoying the Christmas season.
Well, let's go straight to the issue. You say the judgment, and you say it consistently, you've said it everywhere, that judgment by the Federal High Court in Abuja will not hold. Why are you saying that?
Well, let me even put it better in perspective. The 2015 general elections came. On the 28th of March 2015, the National Assembly election was conducted along with the presidential election. In that election, INEC returned Uche Ekwunife, Honorable Uche Ekwunife, as duly elected, but that return was not correct. Uche Ekwunife did not win the election. She rather rigged the election. I was a candidate in the election, and looking at all that happened, I went to the tribunal to challenge that return. The tribunal returned her, and I went to the Court of Appeal because the tribunal did not consider all the issues I put before it. One was that she was not qualified to contest the election, having not been nominated to contest the election by the PDP as required by law. The PDP did not conduct any primary anywhere to select its candidate, which was a violation of Section 87(1) of the Electoral Act, which clearly stated that any political party seeking to sponsor a candidate in any election conducted under the Act by the Independent National Electoral Commission shall conduct primary to select its candidate. The word "shall" is mandatory for all political parties, which I may read for you, so that those who are listening to us will follow the explanation. This section, this Electoral Act, Section 87.
Just go ahead.
It's very important. It's key to the explanation. So, nomination of candidate by parties. Section 87(1) of the Electoral Act says A political party seeking to nominate candidates for elections under this act shall hold primaries for aspirants to all elective positions. To all elective positions, primaries shall hold. So it's mandatory. The word shall means that it's mandatory. Section 871 of the Electoral Act. Any political party that fails to conduct primary to select its candidate will be violating Section 871 of the Electoral Act.
But the presidencies that where we had the court say that, look, a man in another party had no right to question the eligibility of a candidate in another party.
No, that's not what the law says. What they are saying is what is contained in Section 87(9), which says, notwithstanding the provision of this act or rules of a political party, an aspirant who complains that any of the provision of this act and the guidelines of a political party has not been complied with in the election, in the selection or nomination of a candidate of a political party for election, may apply to the Federal High Court or the Federal High Court of a state or FCT for redress. In other words, when a party conducts primary and an aspirant feels aggrieved with the processes, the aspirant within the party that took part in the primary will challenge it in court to seek redress, whatever grievances the aspirant may have.
Within the party.
So in this circumstance, once there is a primary has been conducted, only the aspirants within that party that took part in the primary can challenge the outcome in court. If you're not a member of that party, you couldn't have been an aspirant, so you can't challenge the outcome of the primary. But this one, Section 871, is a general provision. A political party seeking to nominate candidates for elections under this act shall hold primaries for aspirants to all elective positions.
Anyway, there's a court judgment.
So that you don't mix it up.
Okay.
So if you don't conduct primaries, a member of another party can say that this party did not conduct primary and therefore its candidate is not qualified to take part in the election. There's a breach of the Electoral Act, and it borders on qualification. Then Section 87 is about if you took part in the primary and you are not satisfied with the outcome, you can go to court. So they have been mispresenting this provision of the Constitution because the matters they have been referring to, the Supreme Court pronounced upon, were cases where the parties conducted primaries and a member of another political party started faulting the primary, like in Taraba governorship primary. The PDP held its primary in Abuja, and the APC candidates went to the tribunal to say that they didn't conduct the primary in Taraba, in Jalingo. And they said, it's none of your business, you're not a member of the party. The first condition that must be met will be that you must conduct primary. So if they conducted primary, you cannot challenge it. Okay. So in my own case, yes, PDP did not conduct primary in Kogi, East Kogi Central Senatorial District, Okene Federal Constituency, and Ofu State House of Assembly Constituency. APC did not conduct primaries and put forward candidates to INEC. Those people won the elections. 2 senatorial seats, 1 House of Rep seat, and 1 House of Assembly seat. And the tribunal, because it was proved that they did not conduct primaries, the elections were nullified, like in Anambra Central, And in those constituencies in Kogi, APC did not take part in the fresh elections ordered by the tribunal. When they went to the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal upheld the judgment of the tribunal and modified those elections for non-conduct of primaries. If you don't conduct primary, the candidate will not be qualified to take part in the election. And qualification is a ground for challenging an election petition, for filing an election petition, and you challenge the return made in the election if the winner did not qualify to be part of the election. So that was exactly what I did in Anambra. You can see that it's only in Anambra Central that the story has been on and on from PDP members. Those people in Kogi, where the PDP challenged the winners of the elections by APC, they have all gone home. Those run elections have been conducted without APC taking part, and PDP won all the seats. So in Anambra, the same PDP is now saying I have no rights to challenge the non-conduct of primary in Anambra Central Senatorial District, whereas the same party challenged APC in Kogi for non-conduct of primaries. So you cannot reprobate and approbate. The law is certain. And having done that at the Court of Appeal, because the tribunal didn't consider my presentations for non-conduct of primary and arguments I made or cases I made about mutilation of result sheets, falsification of figures, and so on and so forth, other irregularities and non-compliance. The Court of Appeal looked at my grounds of appeal, first of all determined that truly PDP did not conduct any primary. Because in the tribunal, in their reply to my petition, they said that they conducted world congresses, local government congresses, and state congresses before they chose their candidates. And at the tribunal, they left no evidence. They didn't bring even list of delegates, no button. They didn't put anything at all. So the Court of Appeal agreed that they didn't conduct primary as required by Section 871, and putting it in context with Section 138A, which borders on qualification. It was able to agree that PDP didn't have a candidate and nullified the election. So when that happened, Honorable Chevrolet went back to the Court of Appeal to review its judgment, to set it aside. The Court of Appeal, 5 full courts sat and refused. She went to Supreme Court, and on 10th of February, the Supreme Court struck out her appeal for lack of jurisdiction. Because the Court of Appeal, by virtue of Section 2463 of the Constitution, is the final court on National Assembly and State Assembly election disputes. So that's it. And when that happened, when the court nullified the election on 7 December 2015, it ordered INEC to conduct the election within 90 days. INEC scheduled 5th of March 2016 for the election. And on February 1, gave notice of poll. In fact, for all rural elections across the country, about 80 of them, including those in Kogi, Rivers, all other places, And of course, excluded PDP from the election, relying on the judgment of the Supreme Court on double party versus INEC. And when an election is nullified, the party or the candidate that caused infraction, or the candidate and its party, will not take part in the run, because time for bringing another candidate had lapsed. So they went to court to challenge that, because as soon as that happened, which really defected to APC, to scramble for APC ticket for the fresh election, ignorant of the law. Then the PDP sent Peter Obi's name to INEC as their own candidate for the run election. Peter Obi, who did not take part in the senatorial election in 2015. We thought it was a joke. And on 29th of February, the Federal High Court, presided by one particular judge, that dismissed APC's intention to take part in the fresh election in Kogi, entered judgment that PDP would bring another candidate against the established law. I applied for leave to appeal against judgment. I got leave. INEC, that was the principal party sued by PDP, went on appeal because it was bizarre. The judge said APC cannot fit new candidates in the runs ordered in Kogi. The Anambra Central, the judge turned around to say that PDP would put another candidate. This appeal dragged on from March 2016 until 20th of November 2017. When the Court of Appeal delivered 2 judgments, one on my appeal, the other one on INEC appeal, but the 2 judgments were the same. They determined that PDP will not take part in the rural election and ordered INEC to conduct the election within 90 days, excluding PDP and its candidate. They made these 2 orders in the 2 appeals, 20th November 2017. So when that happened, PDP saw that there was nothing they could do again to halt the election. They sponsored a petition to the National Assembly for the Senate to stop INEC from conducting it, because INEC fixed 13th of January for the conduct of that election. knowing that going back to the Supreme Court to the waste of time, the Supreme Court had already determined the matter since 2009, and it is a law, that's guiding the operation. They didn't know what to do again. At the Senate public hearing on 6th December, they didn't show up, and then rather went back to collude. Because this Obiora Okonkwo you talked about, I got a judgment from the Federal High Court.
Yes.
Had gone to court to challenge the PDP that he was the rightful candidate instead of Uche Ekwunife. Uche Ekwunife joined in that action. INEC was a party in the suit. Adamu Muazu, national chairman standing, and the PDP. What happened? They were dragging it for nearly 3 years between Uche Ekwunife, PDP, and Obiora Okonkwo. So when they now saw that they have lost out completely, there's nothing that will make them take part in the election again, they went back to the Federal High Court and colluded. Uche Ekwunife withdrew her opposition to Obiora Okonkwo's claims. PDP withdrew its counter affidavit in opposition to Obiora Okonkwo's claims, so that since they are no longer part of the election, let anything happen. That was what they did, and the judge entered judgment that Obiora Okonkwo is now the rightful candidate, and ordered INEC to swear him in. And an election will not take part in any of the processes, And that order that he made flies in the face of the three judgments I referred to. The one of 7 December 2015 by the Court of Appeal that nullified the election, and the two Court of Appeal judgments that were delivered on 28th November, ordering INEC to conduct the election within 90 days without the PDP and its candidates. So that judgment came out from the bush. And as it is turned out now, he went also further, the judge, to order Saraki to swear in Obiora Okonkwo, anticipating that INEC may not issue the certificate of return. He now put in the Senate President to swear Obiora Okonkwo in, And the Senate President and National Assembly were not parties in the matter before him, showing you the collusion by the court and the PDP.
That's a big indictment of the courts.
No, it's a statement of fact.
It's a big indictment.
It's not an indictment. Why it's not an indictment? Listen, if a court gives an order against an order made by a superior court, that order is made in law what they call per incuriam. That is against what is already established by a superior court.
Some law experts are saying is that the judgment by the Federal High Court ab initio has made irrelevant the judgment of the appeal court, because what is in contest is the qualification of Uche Ekwunife, but this judge is saying that ab initio Uche Ekwunife shouldn't have been declared the candidate, shouldn't have been in the Senate, that Obiora Okonkwo should have been in the Senate.
That is a poor understanding of the law. When an election has been nullified by the highest court vested with jurisdiction to pronounce upon it, that election is dead. The argument that is a pre-election matter does not remove the fact that PDP was a party in all the proceedings. The PDP sponsored the candidates. You understand? So that they have a pre-election matter does not vitiate a final order made by the Court of Appeal as the last court for hearing National Assembly matters. And that court has nullified the election. So having nullified the election, nobody can resurrect the election. Nobody, not even the Supreme Court. The only place a pre-election matter can have effect on the judgment rendered by the tribunal or so on and so forth is where the tribunal or the Court of Appeal or even the Supreme Court, as the case may be, still validates the election. If the election is still alive and valid and somebody is occupying the seat, then when you now determine who between the contending parties who was the rightful candidate, the other man occupying the seat will be ordered to vacate. Like in the case of governorship election in Abia State, where Okezie Ikpeazu was the governor, or has been the governor, because he's still the governor. And when the Dosaban Court, the Federal High Court, determined that Uche Oga was the rightful candidate, he made an order that Oga should replace Ikpeazu, because the election is still valid. You know, the race is still alive. You know, but when the Court of Appeal has nullified the election, the pre-election matter becomes an academic exercise. Okay. Because, listen, because if you determine that Ogbero Okonkwo was the rightful candidate, because of it had nullified the election, nullified the return, a return issued to Uche Ekwunife, and Uche Ekwunife ceased to be in the National Assembly. So you cannot confer any benefit from that election on anybody who rises to say he was the rightful candidate. That election has been thrown away. And having said that, you cannot overlook the orders made by the Court of Appeal to have a resort to the High Court. This is the first time a High Court has ordered an action to be taken without regard to order made by the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal voided the election, nullified it, and said there should be a repeat election without PDP and its candidate. That judgment has not been set aside, neither in my own nor in the ANEC appeal. That of the December 2015 nullified the election. They went to the Supreme Court to set it aside. The Supreme Court said no, they cannot. Because by section 2463 of the Constitution, the Court of Appeal is the final court. Whatever they decide on National Assembly and State Assembly election remains like that forever and ever. So the nullification of the election remains valid till today.
Okay, you have accused PDP, Uche Ekwunife, Obiora Okonkwo of collusion with the court.
Yes.
Uche Ekwunife has also accused you of collusion with the appeal court.
How can I, if it's only in Anambra Central that the Court of Appeal nullified an election for non-conduct of primary, then it may be as a result of strange reason. I've told you that the Court of Appeal Abuja Division here nullified 6 elections in Kogi State for non-conduct of primaries by APC. The truth is that that was the law. The Supreme Court had, in previous cases, established that a non-member of a party can challenge the outcome of the primary in another party. If there was no primary, if there's any breach, you can challenge it. And that document was written by the current Chief Justice of Nigeria, J.C. Walton. It's a landmark case that was used in deciding those cases. So what they are talking about collusion is that out of ignorance. If the law was not supportive of what I have said, they cannot succeed in Kogi, in the tribunals and at the Court of Appeal, separate divisions. Mine was in Enugu. So that's why, even as they are saying it today, they have not got it right. If you challenge non-conduct of primary and relate it to non-qualification, because nomination is part of sponsorship and election. So when you fail to comply with the act to nominate a candidate, then you are gone. I did it for you in the judgment of that court. So that let it not be we are speaking grammar here. Nobody knows what's going on. Look at system. A person cannot be qualified to be a candidate of a political party for an election except and unless he is nominated and sponsored by a political party for which he is a member. After the conduct of an election, if a person wishes to challenge the result of the election on the ground of nomination to a pre-election matter, he can legally do so before the election tribunal under section 1381A of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. And it is wrong to hold that an election tribunal does not have jurisdiction to hear and determine such a matter.
Okay.
Nomination is part and parcel of qualification.
Okay.
And that's the judgment. I'm reading from the judgment copiously. So So,
Jimmy, I've started wondering if you have become a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm an estate surveyor by profession. Estate surveyor and valuer. And you know, not everybody that is in the political arena is knowledgeable or properly educated. Mm-hmm. In my own case, I studied estate management at the University of Nigeria. And in the course of my program, I did land law. Land law has 12 credits. And it is the same land law that all students of law read. We wrote the same exams. I read law of contracts, 12 credits. The same law of contract, we attended the same lectures, I wrote the same exams, the same law. I also read arbitration and awards. You know, if you go through this, there's nothing happening in law you cannot appreciate or understand. This act is written in simple English. This constitution is written in simple English. So if you know, if you have knowledge of these things, you can read a provision and understand its ordinary meaning. Okay. So I'm not a lawyer, but I'm telling you that because I have knowledge of these things. Remember, I have won over 40-something cases since 2005 in court. If my matter does not have merit, I won't try it. And most times I've been a defendant. They've been suing me. It's only this case that I took to the tribunal that I can say I was a plaintiff. And another one that I took to the Federal High Court Abuja when Maurice wanted to claim the leadership of ABGA. I went there and defeated him. You know. So what I'm trying to say is that if you want to participate in the political process, you must know what the provisions of the law are. You
must have knowledge.
Yeah, if you don't have knowledge, the lawyers will be taking your money. Like in the present case now, where somebody has deceived Obiora Okonkwo, that the Federal High Court can order that he should be sworn in, you know, against an order, express order, made by 3 divisions of the Court of Appeal.
But is it not expected? Is it not expected that as this controversy goes on, that INEC should take a position?
No, INEC, of course, will take it. They have taken a position already. When
no,
the government,
they
have taken a position. No, not they had. They took a position, and they fixed the date for the election. 13 January.
Before this development.
Yes, this development. They have not seen the judgment. So when people were bombarding them, they said they haven't seen the judgment. They are waiting for the CTC of the judgment.
So it's expected that when they see it,
they will see whether the Federal High Court, presided over by Justice Soho, ordered INEC to disregard the binding decisions and orders made by the Court of Appeal. And when they see the judgment, because the High Court cannot set aside those judgments delivered by the Court of Appeal, you know, they cannot sit on appeal against an order made by the Court of Appeal. It can never happen in law.
No, but they didn't say anything about the order.
No, so if they didn't say anything about the order, then the orders made by the Court of Appeal would take precedence.
Okay, let me ask you, Chifume. If by any chance INEC postpones the election,
they cannot.
I'm just saying.
They cannot. Don't propose something that will not happen. You know, it's a hypothetical.
But they have not taken. They have not taken.
No, they will take.
And you think they will take that decision?
By the time this program may even be aired, it may be overtaken. This your question may be overtaken. Because the important issue is that the judgment, if it comes out, they will see that the judgment has no bearing, no relationship with the extant orders made by the Court of Appeal in all the appeals. Okay. And that one will become an undergrowth. I described it as an undergrowth. In a forest where you have Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, and High Court. The High Court is a shrub. It's a shrub. Okay. You cannot obey an order made by a High Court and abandon the order made by Court of Appeal.
If the appeal court decision ordering INEC to hold this election holds, it means that you'll be going for an election on the 13th of January.
Yes, let me even tell you the collusion I told you about. When the Court of Appeal delivered these 2 judgments on 20th November, PDP filed notice of appeal to the Supreme Court, you know, on both appeals, you know, and realizing that there is no way the Supreme Court can set aside that judgment of the Court of Appeal, because the judgment of the Court of Appeal was based on the judgment already delivered by the Court of Appeal in 2009, where it was established that in the run elections, no fresh candidates, you know. In realization of that fact, that appeal will not yield anything for them to stop that election. The other one was that they will put stay of execution of that judgment. They know the Supreme Court will not even hear it before 13 January. They now decided to withdraw those appeals. So PDP withdrew the appeals. They filed to the Supreme Court.
The notice of appeal.
The notice of appeal and the stay of execution they had already filed. They withdrew all of them to be able to go back to the Suso and surrender to Obiora Okonkwo so that we make the order. That's why they are referring to it as a consent judgment. And you know, even in law, the judge was wrong to have disregarded all the processes filed in the matter for 3 years. They were arguing it. They had gone to Court of Appeal, they had gone to Supreme Court, and came back to that High Court, you know. So if they suddenly come and withdraw their counter affidavit and so on and so forth, the judge will take judicial notice of the claims before him for 3 years, you know. So he can't do that, and he cannot pretend not to know, because what the judge is doing is feigning ignorance. He said that defendants in the case came and withdrew their defense and entered judgment. He cannot claim that as a judge sitting in Abuja here, that he does not know that the Court of Appeal had nullified that election in 2015, matter that has gone up to Supreme Court, widely reported, even in the law reports. Then he cannot claim that the judgments of the Court of Appeal delivered on 20 November, he wasn't aware of them. So this is the collusion I spoke about.
Let me redirect this conversation that we're having.
Yeah.
Because I am looking at the people of the Anambra Central Senatorial that are denying representation.
Yes.
They are also being denied an opportunity for you as a candidate and any other candidate to come and put on the table what you want to do with the mandate, assuming you get it after the election on the 13th of January. Is it possible for us to look at what your agenda is? I mean, we've made this point, this matters in the court and all that. INEC has to take a decision. What, as a candidate of ABGA and a candidate for this election on the 13th of January, what is your agenda? What do you want to do for your people?
If I go to the Senate, my people will know that they have an advocate for their rights. I will be alive to my responsibilities as a senator. Anything they're entitled to as a senatorial constituency in Nigeria, they will get without missing anything. And let me tell you what's going on. These people have been dragging that this election should not take place again, so that the seat will be vacant till 2019. They know why they are running. In 2016, zonal intervention funds approved by the National Assembly for Anambra Central Senatorial District was taken by somebody without doing anything. 2017 zonal intervention funds, all of them totally over 300 million naira each year, had been drawn without doing it. Somebody is doing it. I'm keeping the records. If I come there, you see that this brigandage cannot continue. They will account for all those monies. The person who is taking the money, you know, it cannot.
Why will the person take the money when he's not? Because
the seat is vacant, and the opportunity is still there to go and play around the National Assembly and divert things. I'm going to exhume all these things. That's why they are desperate. Who make you not go to the Senate? Because I'll ask relevant questions when I get it. I have the record.
As much as you say that,
take it from me. I have the record. Don't doubt me.
No, as much as you say that,
yes,
they also say that you're using all the legal ammunition available to you to ensure that you are unopposed, because you are afraid that the PDP, the APC, and all that, if they have candidates, they will defeat you.
Those, you know, that they tell lies. In 2015, I was a candidate for ABGA. Chris Nge was a candidate of APC. Uche Kluge was a candidate of the ruling party then, the PDP. You know. And when we went through that election, I won it. As a small party, compared to APC and PDP. I scored 86,000 votes. Ngige got 20,000 votes. And you know in Nigeria he's seen as a political iroko. He got 20,000. That was his score. He didn't even go to the tribunal. He was lucky that Buhari won the presidential election, his party, and he got appointed a minister. Uche Etunfe used the full might of the PDP incumbent government at the center, using security agencies and all that to annihilate us. My local government, they didn't allow me to come near the collection center. Uche Etunfe was accompanied by soldiers and policemen. And they went there and beat up people and carted everything away. They are captured on camera, don't interject. The last election she won.
No, Mr. says that at no time did you present those evidence that an armored tank had blocked entrance to your...
You see, when you go to the tribunal, you have to be in a position to bring those people, bring those soldiers to testify. If I had pursued my petition on that premise, I will not succeed. Because it was strategic. It was strategic. So I
don't have the evidence.
I have the evidence. But if you go there, you must subpoena the army. All those people that worked must come to the tribunal. That would be a far-fetched thing to achieve.
But you can make that available to the media.
You see, I'm telling you that they were captured on phones, and she knows she did it. Because even my collection agent from one ward in doesn't know. All Uche Etunfe supervised the snatching of her bag. The deputy local government chairman of our local government, all of us are from the same local government, was taken by the army and thrown into the bus, into their van, and they went away. He came back after 3 days. 3 days after the election. No collection took place anywhere.
So how did they come with the figures?
That's why from 101,000, they dropped to 93,000, and I admitted that was so. From 77,000 they gave to me, they admitted I got 6,000 votes on the face value. The tribunal did not consider issues of mutilation, falsification of figures, which I presented, and I adduced the evidence in the tribunal. They discountenanced all of them. Where in a pink copy, the result, there was one that was terrible. Booth 069 Obosi Ward. The PDP got 78, standing like that in the pink copy. In the certified true copy of the result they gave me from INEC, the serial numbers were the same, but the figure changed to 278. It was like that in so many places. There was a ward, Eziowole, where PDP got 157 total votes. They put 3 in the ward collected result, 3 prefix. It became 3,157. And if you bring the polling booth result and add the figures of PDP, it still stood at 157. They didn't change it. All of them were at the tribunal. They didn't look at any of them. That was the fraud they unleashed across the zone. And they said, once you announce the result for me, once you return me, leave me with what I will do at the court. So Uepudive's attitude was just announce me winner, leave to me what I will do at the court. She didn't know that she was contending with me. I was actually heels on this matter. If another person had contested the election for Abga, this would have been a concluded matter long ago. I have the spirit, I have the tenacity of purpose to fight for my right and for justice. That's what I have used Abga to demonstrate in Nigeria. Remember that Peter Obi didn't become governor. You were aware. By INEC declaration, went to the court. I was the PW1 in the election petition. I was in the witness box for Peter Obi 1 month. I tendered all the results at the state collection agent. I was cross-examined by senior advocates, about 6 of them on the whole, from Gige and INEC. And I stood my ground. It was my evidence that achieved that victory for Abga. That after 3 years, everything Gige tried to do, he was sacked by the tribunal. He went to the Court of Appeal and he was sacked by the Court of Appeal. That's how Abga came. So I've been in this process, and I know that the party Abga is a party that is oppressed. PDP didn't want that to survive, starting from Obasanjo time till now.
But how come, as party chairman, you were seen in cahoots with them?
Cahoots with who?
With the PDP. You always supported their presidential candidate.
No, you see, this is a party you said that wants to kill Abia. You see, let me tell you.
Yes.
I supported, or rather, I supported Jonathan in 2015. No apologies, no regrets. Because of National Conference report, which he said he will implement. I was a delegate to the National Conference. And it was there that I was one of the people that championed the cause of restructuring of this country, political restructuring and fiscal federalism. I was everywhere at the conference, seeking for Nigerians to change the current ways of doing things. That change is imperative. And if you don't restructure Nigeria, you will continue to get problems within the country. You see it? So because I was delegate to that national conference, we were able to achieve restructuring in the resolutions passed, giving the Southeast one additional state, because we have 5 states only. And abolishing the 774 local governments with the share money, where the Southeast has only 95 local governments, South has 6 states, 123 local governments, Southwest 137 local government and 6 states. All up north, the same thing. Northwest has 7 states. And you share Nigeria's money on the basis of local government and states. So I feel my people are being shortchanged. So when we were able to see those things through at national conference, let me tell you, it became one of the reasons why I contested for Senate. Because I knew that the report would go to the National Assembly. At the plenaries of the national conference, it was a very tough battle. You could see me all over the place, challenging that this status quo cannot be sustained. You must restructure Nigeria. If you don't do it, agitations for one kind of action or the other will continue unabated. I didn't go to the Senate up till now, but restructuring became a sing-song in the past 1 year in Nigeria. Everybody talking about restructuring. Because the only way to preserve Nigeria's unity is to ensure equity and fairness to everybody. If you don't do it, that thing will continue. Restructuring was a campaign issue in 2015 by Jonathan. Jonathan said, if I win the presidential election, I will implement the report of the National Conference. So I wasn't supporting Jonathan because I love him as a man or anything, but that report he said he will implement, I had total interest in it, and I believe that my people will get better if the results of the report were implemented. Unfortunately, the APC doesn't want to do that. So you see it. In 2019, I put it to you again, restructuring will be a campaign issue. Those who will run for presidency in 2019 in Nigeria, anybody who is against restructuring will not get votes, at least for southern Nigeria, no matter how hard the person tries. So it's a very important issue. So I was struggling to get there on time, to contribute to the debate. And the restructuring is being misconceived by a lot of people as being a disintegration of Nigeria.
What does it mean for you?
Restructuring means equity and fairness, balancing things to the admiration of all parts of Nigeria. If you restructure Nigeria, Nigeria will become stronger. People will now have faith in the federation. When you have a skilled federation and you want everybody to follow, there is a time following will become impossible. And Nigeria is gradually drifting to that, where every day people will gather somewhere and say, Nigeria, there won't be restructuring. The whole southern senators recently met in Calabar, you are aware?
Yeah.
And what they came out from that conclave was that Nigeria must be restructured. Don't throw it away. Southern Nigeria has 17 states, and the north has 19 states. So goes with the number of senators they have. When people persistently continue to push for an action that will blow no ill wind to anybody, know that there is something there. Even all these agitations we are seeing, IPUB, Niger Delta militants and all that, they were issues we had dealt with at the national conference.
If you become senator,
Yes.
what action will you take to ensure that this conference that you believe so much, the report that you believe so much in, sees the light of day?
I haven't been to the Senate, but the Senate has called for the report of the national conference. I hope you are aware.
Yeah.
Yes. So even when people are saying that it can never happen, if it doesn't happen today, it must happen tomorrow. I'm telling you that.
You're not among those that are saying we need a new conference.
A new conference. What is wrong with the old conference? Those who are calling for a new conference are those who are enjoying the status quo.
APC says it was not representative enough.
How is it not representative enough? The delegates to the conference had the best people across Nigeria, 492 members. Governments contributed delegates. So all the governments run by APC contributed delegates. But as a political party, they did not come to the conference. Lagos State, all the states in the north, controlled by APC, sent delegates to the conference. All the important people from northern Nigeria came there. Ibrahim Kumasi, the former Inspector General of Police, was the leader of the northern delegates to the conference. Lamido Adamawa was there. Sule Gambari was there. All of them. Okay. Andrew Abdullahi was there. They came with their best brains. But at the national conference, it was too hot to sustain the status quo. And they bent and joined in accepting the resolution, 600 of them. And they said if we have passed through the conference that are waiting for us at the National Assembly, they will torpedo it. So you see, you don't cry over anything until you get there. So my prayer is that those in authority in Nigeria, we know that you cannot lead people by force. You need dialogue. And that's what I'm going to preach at the National Assembly. We need each other. We need the North. We need the Southwest. We need the South-South. They need the Southeast. And the only way we can coexist and have common faith in the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be when we entrench equity and fairness.
Okay, Chief Umeh.
So if you take advantage of military administrations that balkanize Nigeria into states and local governments, and you want to hold on to the advantages conferred on you by military fiat, it cannot survive in a democratic setting.
Okay, let me have your last word, Chief Umeh, because we are running out of time. What's your final word to those whose votes you require to...
First of all, my final word will go to those who don't want to accept defeat. Anything that is beyond you, you must find the grace of God to accept something you cannot change. These things you are seeing, they have not succeeded because of the law. They have not followed the law. They have not observed due process. And they think that they will bring the place down. It's not the way to do it. There is always another day. 2019 is beckoning. They should let this go because by their own actions, they've been shut out of the process. Those who shared the same plight with them, the members of APC in Kogi, had all gone home. And PDP had gone through the election and taken all the seats. Their people are being represented. So let it not be like the biblical case of the Bible, where two women were struggling for the ownership of a child. The one who knows that the child did not belong to her told Solomon, when Solomon said, okay, in his wisdom, bring that child, I'll divide it into two. The one who didn't own the child gave herself away. Please divide the child into two. Know that when you divide the child into two, the child will die. So that's what PDP is doing in Anambra Central Senatorial District now. That if they cannot have it, nobody should be there. That is absurd. Then on their own part gone, for the Anambra Central Senatorial District people, I know they are my people. They are waiting for that day, 13 January. All of them will put their votes for me. And the other one is said that I'm the only one running for the election. It's not true. I contested with Ngige Ekunife and 12 others. So we have 15 political parties and 15 candidates. Labour Party, UPP, all of them, they still have candidates.
Okay.
You know, so now PDP is out of the way. So remaining 14, Ngige didn't want to resign as minister to be able to contest for APC. He now says he has withdrawn from the election. That's what he's now saying. He doesn't want to come and face me in the election. Because if he wanted to contest, if he's popular, let him come. But he would have resigned by 13th of December. 30 days to the election.
So he's out of it.
So he's not out of it. That's why we are now 13. So I don't know. Maybe APC and PDP will gang up behind one candidate. You say is not strong enough, and they will defeat me. So these things are there. I also read in the social media that all these people, the anti-Umeh group, all of them, both within APC and the PDP, that are holding an emergency meeting this Christmas on how to stop me on 13 January. Okay, but I'll tell you, even if all of them with the remaining 13 political parties or 12 political parties team up against me, I will do to them what Obiano did to 36 governorship candidates. When the election came, Obiano won votes that if you added the votes scored by the other 36 candidates, he still defeated them. Abga is a rock of Gibraltar in Anambra State. Okay, and I have led the struggle that established that party.
I think we'll leave it here.
Yeah, so that's it. So by 13th of January, that election will come. By 14th, there will be a winner, you know, and I predict a landslide victory for Abga and its candidate. And if that happens, we will see again.
Chief Umeh, thank you for always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And
in the election, we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
And as they say,
football, let the better team win.
Yes. And when you lose, you accept defeat. Yes. So that's the beauty of democracy.
Well, Chief Victor Umeh, it's always a pleasure, you know, speaking with you. And as you get ready for the elections, we wish you the best. As they say in football, let the better side win. And let the losers be good sportsmen. That's with Chief Victor Umeh, OFR, the former national chairman of ABGA, and the ABGA candidate for the forthcoming Anambra Central senatorial election. I am Obiora Ilo from Abuja in Nigeria. Remember, our last show is next Sunday. Please be part of it and do enjoy your holidays.
From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Late Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.